We are going to finish reading Mercy Watson, Something Wonky This Way Comes. Chapter 9. Mercy stopped, she sniffed. The smell of butter was very strong. The smell of butter was very near. The smell of butter was coming from the back seat of a station wagon. Mercy stuck her head in the window. She sniffed again. The smell of butter was coming from an extremely large bucket in the hands of a very small child. Mercy helped herself. The small child screamed, "Papa, Papa, a monster is eating my popcorn." Mercy chewed. The popcorn was drenched in butter. It was delicious. A man stuck his face in Mercy's snout. "What do you think you're doing?" the man said. What did Mercy think she was doing? She thought she was enjoying a buttery snack. "Get out of there," shouted the man. He gave Mercy a very forceful shove. Popcorn went flying everywhere. Mercy thought perhaps it was time to move on. Chapter 10. In the front row of the Bayou Drive-In, Officer Tamalio sat up straight in his seat. Officer Tamalio said, "Did you hear that?" Mrs. Officer Tamalio said nothing. "Was that a scream of distress?" said Officer Tamalio. "It sounded like a scream of distress," he answered himself. "Is someone in trouble?" Officer Tamalio asked. Mrs. Officer Tamalio said nothing. "Is it possible that someone is in trouble?" Officer Tamalio answered himself. "Is it time for an officer of the law to step in?" Officer Tamale asked. "Most definitely," he answered. Officer Tamale put his badge around his neck. He got his blowhorn from the back seat. He kissed Mrs. Officer Tamale goodbye. He said, "I am off to make the world a better place." "I am," he answered himself. "I am most definitely off to make the world a safer place." Mrs. Officer Tamalio waved goodbye. Chapter 11. Mercy discovered that there was hot buttered popcorn everywhere. Every car had big buckets of popcorn. Every car had open windows. The popcorn was buttery. The popcorn was crunchy. The popcorn was delicious. She helped herself. She helped herself again and again. People screamed. People laughed. People fainted. Mercy kept eating. In the meantime, Mr. Watson and Frank returned to the convertible with several bottomless buckets of popcorn. Mrs. Watson was crying. "My darling, my dear," said Mr. Watson, "what is wrong?" "It's a tragedy," said Mrs. Watson. "I wouldn't exactly call it a tragedy," said Eugenia Lincoln. "Mercy is missing," said Stella. "Don't worry," said Mr. Watson. "We'll find her." "I'll wait here if you don't mind," said Eugenia Lincoln. She helped herself to some hot, buttery popcorn. Chapter 12. Leroy Knicker heard people screaming about monsters. Leroy Knicker heard people shouting about pigs. Leroy Knicker saw a woman with a net run past the concession stand. "What are you trying to catch?" said Leroy Knicker. "A pig," said the woman with the net. "A pig?" said Leroy Knicker. "That's right," said the woman. "You're not going to catch livestock with a net," said Leroy Knicker. "What you need is a lasso." Yippee-i-o! Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson and Stella and Frank and Baby shouted, "Mercy, mercy, mercy." "Should you remain calm?" Officer Tamalo asked. "You most definitely should remain calm." At the ticket counter, Beatrice Lippi-Leoni took her glasses off and put them back on. "Wonky," said Beatrice Lippi-Leoni. "Wonky in the extreme. Maybe it's some kind of emergency. Maybe I should call for help." Beatrice Lippi-Leoni adjusted her glasses. She picked up the phone. Beatrice Lippi-Leoni dialed the fire department. Chapter 13. Mercy was having a wonderful time. He had consumed a large amount of buttered popcorn, and now people were chasing after him. Mercy loved to chase. She ran faster. She kicked up her heels. "Gotcha," shouted Francine Paulette. Francine Paulette netted Officer Tamalio. "Yippee-i-o," shouted Leroy Knicker. He lassoed Francine Paulette. "Fascinating," said Alfred P. Tompkins. "Simply fascinating." There was a sound of a siren. There was the flash of lights. A fire truck pulled into the bayou. "Things seem to be out of control," said the fireman named Ned. "It's a movie," said the fireman named Lorenzo. "They make people crazy." "Actually," said a man who was standing next to Ned, "I think the pig is making people crazy." "Holy smokes, I know that pig," said Lorenzo. "It's that toast-loving pig from Duckaroo Drive." "I'll tell you," said the man standing next to Ned, "this is a way better than any movie I've ever seen. It's all been fascinating, simply fascinating." "I guess it's time for us to come to the rescue," said Ned. "We should do what only firemen can do," said Lorenzo. Ned and Lorenzo took off running. Ned and Lorenzo ran very fast. Ned and Lorenzo caught up with Mercy. "Hey," said Ned, "how about some toast?" Yes, said Lorenzo. How about some toast with a great deal of butter? Mercy stopped running. Mercy sat down. Mercy thought very hard. Toast sounded like an excellent idea to her. Toast always sounded like an excellent idea to her. Ned sat down next to Mercy. He put his arm around her. Oh, said Mrs. Watson, you found her. How will we ever be able to thank you for helping us locate our darling, our dear, said Mr. Watson. Well, said Ned, I'm a little hungry. Toast would be good, said Lorenzo. Toast, said Mrs. Watson. I would love to make some toast. Who else would like some toast? We never did get to see that movie, said Stella. I wonder if it ended happily, said Frank. Well, said Mrs. Watson, here we are, all of us together, and we're all eating toast, said Mr. Watson. I can't imagine a happier ending than that, said Mrs. Watson. It's the happiest possible ending, said Baby Lincoln. It's almost like a love story. It is a love story, said Mr. Watson, and it's very inspirational, said Mrs. Watson.